I wanted to mess with Claude Code, but it's intimidating. So Claude heard us and dropped a non-techie version of it. It's called Claude CoWork, and in this video, we're gonna see what it can do for us content creators. I'm finally jumping into the AI agent world, and I'm gonna show you what Claude CoWork made for me. It made me a researcher, it made me a competitor watch, repurposing my content. Let me just show you. So first things first, you need to download Claude's desktop. This is the only way you can get access to it. And so when you do that, and I'll put the link in the description, when you do that, you're going to see CoWork. And it's going to look something like this. Now, the first thing we're going to do is literally talk to it. So first thing we're going to ask Claude is what it can do, right? What agents can it do when it comes to content creation? That's exactly what I did. And so it will tell you what it does. Yo, we do sub-agents, skills, automated workflows. And so here are some practical applications, brand voice skills, content repurposing, research. And so that's where we're going to start. If you've been working in Claude for a little bit, it actually already knows you, so it's going to do half of the work. So when it comes to the brand voice, a little hack is that I actually have one of these AI recorders that is hooked up to Claude. So now it's reading the things that I say. And my prompt was really, hey, let's go over to YouTube channel. Let's go over my life logs with my pendant. You've heard some of my conversations, my Substack. So I gave it all of my platforms that I'm normally talking on. And so you can see right here that I'm adding my Instagram, my YouTube, my newsletter, and it also has access to Notion. And if you don't know where to connect your Notion, your different devices and other softwares that you may be using, you go into settings, connectors, and you're going to see all the different connectors that you already have set up. You can browse their connectors over here, as well as add your own custom one because it takes any MCP at this moment. Now, as you can see, it can read my Notion. My Notion, it has the brand and tone voice. I do different documents about some of the content that I've analyzed and kind of show my discoverings, things that I've learned. So everything is in my Notion. I try to create a second brain from it, so it makes it easier for things like this. I've created a simple content HQ for myself that has like audience research, character rosters, brand position, Nicky voice and tone, and some of the things that I've looked up, just like thumbnails, threads, YouTube stuff, all of that. So once it goes through my social media and my Notion, it's going to turn it into a skill. Think of it like a playbook. It's going to take all of those documents, is then going to figure out the patterns and create rules or instructions, and then package it up and call it skills. This is something that you don't have to continue to prompt anymore. You just got to reference the skill. As you can see, it's picking up everything. It's packaging it up. And what the skill actually does is has the actual voice pattern, hard formatting rules, signature phrases, hot takes, all of that. So it creates the skills and you can open it in your own desktop. This is all saved to your computer. So now we figured out my voice and tone, which is amazing, which is going to save me so much time. Now I asked it what's next. And it'll tell you exactly what to do. Content repurposing agent, newsletter. So what I saw there was that it didn't have a researcher. So I wanted it to create a researcher. So it said, okay, great, weekly AI tech researcher, and you can do this for whatever your stuff is, right? If you are into fashion, if you are a sneaker collector, a Lego collector, if you are into sports, you can make this into any other research. But before we get into that, let's get into this content repurposing agent. So as you can see, I asked it to start. What does it need? I'm never going to assume it knows everything. I'm going to ask the question, what does it need, so I can provide it. How this workflow is going to go is that if I give it a transcript, an idea, or anything, it's going to create tweets, threads, newsletters, carousels, Instagram captions, and it's all going to do it in my voice, specific frameworks, and platform-specific formatting. Now, what I said was, hey, Claude has my projects already. You know, I have a tweet engine, I got an album architect, carousel. So there's certain projects that I have already configured when I was just using it inside of chat. So now let's figure out how we can turn that into something that we can automate. And also to double down and make it easier, because it has access to the Notion, I have most of the prompts that I'm referencing in a Notion doc that I gave it access to. And I'll give you that. Just go into the link in the description. You can have all these prompts. Once it has all of that, it creates the different phases. Phase 1, turning my long form content into an album pretty much so people could listen to it with a good flow. 2, the written content. So this is where tweets, newsletters, carousels come into play. And then 3, giving me some visual outputs as well. And as you can see, all I'm doing is talking to CoWork. This is how easy this thing is. So I'm going to the next agent, to the next agent. The following one is the newsletter one. And you can see that conversation of taking it from the Content Corner newsletter, getting it to figure out that format. Once again, creating another skill right here, right? And it's just a repeatable concept. So thinking about this framework is having the conversation with Claude. What can it do? Second is going to be, what is the system that you want to create? For me, it was all about content creation. How do I create the repurposing? How do I get it to research? All of that. And so it broke it down step by step, and I gave it the right document so I don't have to keep putting it in later. Even with the researcher side. So now we're up to the weekly AI tech researcher. And I gave it a prompt that Mr. Grateful gave me at one of the conferences. As well as I gave it a list of all the blogs and the YouTube channels that I look up, different AI tools, social media updates, everything that I look up, I gave it that. Same thing with the competitor watch, which are just thought leaders. I don't find anybody to be a competitor, but you know what I mean. And then the last agent I wanted to create was a run of show agent for my live show, Content Corner, that happens every Monday, 9 p.m. And so that requires a lot of research. What are some of the trends? What are some of the AI tools that need to be demonstrated? What are some reaction videos that I can do? And so I gave it the instructions. It knows exactly what I need. And now we have the skill for that and the full agent suite that includes the brand voice, the content repurposing, newsletters, researcher, competitors. I also did a YouTube analytics agent, as well as the Content Corner live run show. The lovely part about this is that it will break it all the way down. My suggestion is that you also put this into your Notion. It can write to your Notion. So everything that it created with the prompts, allow them to make kind of like an agent dashboard. It's going to look something like this, like an agent command center. So everything that we've done with the prompts that is going to be triggered is all in this document inside of your Notion. And like I said, just tell it to do it and it's going to write it in your Notion. Now that that's all set up, let's just say from a manual standpoint, if you open up another CoWork and you want to trigger one of those skills or those playbooks, you can and just add the content to it. But I wanted to automate it. For that, I would have just stayed in the chat section. And so we did that. And so just by having conversations, this is how simple co-working is. This is why I wanted to show you it, is now that we have a whole agent suite, right, of everything that we may need. So we need to have the conversation. We need to understand what the system that we're trying to build. And so it could do that. But now let's get into the results. The agents are made. I told CoWork, just run them as a test. And so this is what it came up with. It's going to get pushed to Notion. So you see the agent run log has a competitor watch, the researcher, the run of show. And so I'm going to show you what the competitor watch looks like. And so depending on when you watch this, this ran in the week of January 20th. And so you can see the thought leaders that I have at research shows Dan Coe, Colin Samir, Matt Wolf, Tina, Jay, Roberto. Shout out to all of them. And it breaks down the platforms that they were working on, the topic that they talked about, and the content type that they have. And it breaks it down even more of why it worked and the key insights and the angle that I could specifically take on it, which is great because you need to know the gaps and the way you should go about certain topics so you're not guessing. These are already things that are out there that is working, so they already is like a proven formula. And so here's the researcher one that I have every single week. I may up it to every day, but we'll see how that goes. And so it picks the top 5 stories for creators. So it breaks it all the way down. You see Google VO 3.1 gets vertical, right? OpenAI tests ads in ChatGPT. We have platform updates. tools. So everything that I may need, and it gives me the sources so I can recheck. And here's my run of show for my live, and it breaks every single thing down. Now let me show you what's really fire. This part is going to help a lot of content creators. I put the transcript in a Notion page. I have a database that's only for transcripts. And so this is what it created. It created everything. If I wanted to repurpose it into a long form that flows a little bit better, it gave me that outline. It gave me quotables so I can tweet threads. I'm more of a threads person, right? And then it gave me longer threads that has a little bit more context to it. What else did it create? A newsletter, right? It gave me a draft of a newsletter that I can tweak. What else did it do? Carousels. I think carousels are going to be fire, especially if you're serious about Instagram. This took the transcript and automatically broke it down and had it in a location that I could always look it up. Reason why I'm doing this is because sometimes I get lost in all these chats that I open inside of Claude, or maybe yours is ChatGPT. For me, I'm automating everything, putting it in a central location so I could always look it up. Now, let's say you're saying, Nikki, that's a lot. I don't have Notion. It's doing too much. I could put the transcript in a folder. Can it create a separate doc? I got you. So in this example, I gave it access to my eCam folder, which is where all the lives and all the content that I do is stored in, right? And so what I said was, hey, here's the eCam folder. Can you read the videos or the transcripts that are in there, and can you repurpose the content? And so all those prompts that I showed you before is all in this one big thing. Now, clearly, this was my first try. So now that I have it, I know that it could connect to Notion and I have it all organized. This would probably be a little bit better, right? So you can see how long that is. But it's going to do that, right? And once I figured it out, I had to have a bit of a conversation to make sure it's reading it correctly and what I wanted to do. Let me show you the document it actually made, because it makes documents. It doesn't just only read documents, it makes documents. This is just a document that it made on its own, breaking down, once again, the album framework that I have for long form. It broke down quotables that I can tweet about. It gave me my tweet and newsletter draft. So this is something that instantly I could just trigger and it'll create a document for me. So the amount of things that can happen with CoWork is amazing. Now, I will say, to automate the things that we did, and so you don't manually always have to trigger it, you do have to go into Claude Code. Now, disclaimer. Claude Code isn't as hard as we may think. It looks intimidating because it's in the terminal. However, you could just talk to it. I don't want to do it in this video because I don't want to overwhelm you. Just know that the automation is going to be done in Claude Code. And if you want me to show you that video about Claude Code, let me know in the comments. I'll do a video about it. Now, some ideas that's come into my mind when doing Claude CoWork, because it's a blank canvas. You don't know what stuff to create. I just showed you research, analyzing, content creation, just the written side of things. But the cool thing about Claude is that it can create presentations. It can write into documents. It can connect to all these different things. And so it can even connect to Canva. So one thing that you could try is, once you get this content, then can you send it off to Canva to make some of these images? It can make a basic presentation. Can you take that presentation and create some content around it? There's unlimited amount of things that you can do with Claude CoWork. And if you want me to continue with this whole talk about Claude, the CoWork, the code, let me know in the comments. I got you. Now, from my understanding, Claude CoWork is only for Pro and Max users. So those people who pay, they have access to it. Sorry, free users. But by seeing what it can do and the power of Claude CoWork, and especially for my non-techies, is this something that you're interested in? Is this something that you're going to be using? Let me know. And then, of course, check out this next video.